The moment everything feels perfect. The dates are going great, the texts are flowing, she's laughing at your jokes, and you think to yourself, I finally figured this out. That is almost always the exact moment she starts to disappear. Not because you did something wrong, because you did everything right. And that sentence right there is why most channels won't touch this topic. They'll give you scripts and routines and little tricks to seem more confident. That's not what this is. This channel exists for the man who is done being lied to. The man who wants the raw reality underneath the surface. Not a performance, not a persona. The truth. And the truth I'm about to give you today is one that will change how you see every relationship you've ever had. Every woman who ever pulled back, and every moment you sat there confused, replaying conversations, wondering what went wrong. Stay with me until the end, because the deepest piece of this, the part most men never reach, I'm keeping for the final minutes. And trust me, brother, you need that piece. So let's start where the pain actually lives. You know the feeling, you've been there. Maybe you're there right now. You meet her and the connection feels almost too good. You're not trying too hard, you're relaxed. She's smiling in a way she doesn't smile for everyone. You feel it, she feels it. And slowly, carefully, you start building something. You stop playing it cool because it doesn't feel like a game anymore. You start texting back faster. You start planning ahead. You stop canceling things to see her. You become more available, more present, more consistent. Because that's what a good man does, right? And then something shifts. It's subtle at first, a slightly slower reply, a reschedule that didn't used to happen, a little less warmth in the message. You can feel it before you can name it. And so you do what feels natural. You lean in harder. You double down on the consistency, on the attention, on the investment. Maybe you tell her how much you like her. Maybe you plan something special to get things back to what they were. And she, slowly, politely, painfully, continues to drift. Most men at this point make the same mistake. They analyze the situation logically. They think she found someone else, or she got bored, or she was never that interested to begin with. So they either chase harder or they go cold and resentful. And neither one works. Neither one works because neither one understands what's actually happening inside her. Because, brother, her pulling away has almost nothing to do with how much she likes you. Let that land. Her pulling away in those moments is a neurological response, not a decision. Studies consistently show that the female nervous system is exquisitely attuned to emotional safety, predictability, and what psychologists call felt challenge. Her subconscious brain is not asking, does he like me? Her subconscious brain is asking something far more primal. It is asking, is this man still a mystery to me? It is asking, does his presence still carry weight? It is asking, at a deep biological level, am I still earning this? Here's what almost no one talks about. Attraction in women is not a static thing. It is not a number that stays fixed once you've earned it. It is dynamic. It is alive. It breathes. And like anything alive, it requires certain conditions to survive. One of those conditions, one of the most critical ones, is what I call productive tension. And the moment that tension disappears, the attraction begins to starve. This is not a theory I invented. This is observable, primal, instinctive wiring that predates civilization. Her nervous system is biologically designed to feel most powerfully attracted to a man whose presence carries weight, meaning his absence would also carry weight. The moment you become fully available, fully readable, fully predictable, something shifts in her subconscious. You stop being the mountain she's climbing. You become the valley she's already standing in. And the tragedy is that men who care the most suffer this the hardest. Think about it. The man who doesn't care all that much, the guy who has his own life, his own mission, his own rhythm, he doesn't even notice that he's maintaining this tension. He just lives. He goes out with friends. He focuses on his work. He doesn't restructure his world around her schedule because he's genuinely absorbed in his own world. And to her nervous system, that man feels sacred. That man feels like something she cannot fully hold. And what she cannot fully hold, she cannot stop thinking about. Now, here's what I want to give you today, brother. Not platitudes, Not vague advice to just be confident. A real map, a real framework for understanding the layers of this, so that the next time you feel that familiar pull, you'll know exactly what's happening and exactly what to do. This is what I call the attraction ecosystem. 4 levels, 4 connected truths, and each one builds on the last. Level 1, presence before pursuit. Here is something most men never understand. Before you are someone she pursues, you must first become someone she notices differently. Not because you're performing, because you're genuinely inhabiting your own world with focus and intention. Masculine presence is not a thing you switch on when you're around her. It is a state that you either live in or you don't. And she can feel the difference immediately. Her nervous system detects it. When you are truly present, not just in the room, not just looking at her, but genuinely centered inside yourself, something changes in the air. You stop broadcasting neediness through your behavior. You stop signaling, "Please approve of me," through every question you ask, every laugh you perform, every comment you make that's designed to land well. You become a man who is simply here. And here is the paradox that most men miss. Being fully present to yourself makes you far more magnetic to her than being fully focused on her. If you've ever walked away from an interaction thinking, "I gave her everything and it still didn't work," this is the level you were missing. Presence before pursuit, brother. Build the foundation before you build anything else. Level 2, the space between. There is a concept I call the sacred space, and it lives between your interactions with her. Most men think the relationship is built during the moments they're together or texting. Wrong. The relationship is also built in the silence between those moments. And what happens in that silence is everything. When a man disappears into his own life, genuinely, not as a tactic, her brain doesn't stop working. Her imagination fills the space. She wonders what he's doing. She replays moments. She feels the shape of his absence. And that absence, when it's authentic, carries exactly the same neurological charge as his presence. Maybe more. But here is the critical distinction I need you to hear. The space only works when it's real. If you're sitting at home counting the hours before you should text her, that is not authentic distance. That is performed distance. And performed distance feels hollow to her subconscious in ways she might not be able to articulate, but will absolutely feel. The space I'm talking about comes from a man who has so much happening in his own world that he literally doesn't have time to be obsessively available. That man isn't playing games, he's just living. And that life, that genuine fullness of living, is one of the most attractive forces on earth. I'll tell you something I'm not proud of, brother. There was a time I understood none of this. I was with a woman I cared about deeply, and I made myself into a mirror for her. Whatever she wanted, I reflected. Whatever she felt, I responded to. I thought I was being supportive. I thought consistency and availability would make her feel safe. What I didn't understand then was that I had collapsed the space between us entirely. I had removed the mystery. I had handed her everything at once. And within 3 months, she told me she felt like she was losing herself in the relationship. She didn't know how to say what she was actually feeling, which was that she had nothing left to reach for. That loss taught me level 3. Level 3. Polarity and the art of holding your ground. This one is where it gets uncomfortable for a lot of men, because level 3 requires something that the world has quietly tried to train out of us. It requires the willingness to disappoint her occasionally. Not to be cruel, not to be cold, but to remain intact. Polarity is a word I use a lot, and I want to explain exactly what I mean. When two people come together, there is an energetic dynamic between them. And for attraction to stay alive, for that chemical pull to remain strong, there needs to be genuine difference between you. Not conflict, not distance, difference. She has her world, you have yours. She has her perspective, you have yours. And when you disagree, you hold your ground. Not aggressively, with warmth and total confidence. The man who folds to her every preference, who changes his opinion the moment she pushes back, who adjusts his plans to avoid any friction, who says whatever you want to everything. That man is removing the polarity. He is becoming a version of her. And you cannot be attracted to yourself. Her nervous system knows this at a primal level. It knows that sameness is comfort, but difference is desire. So the next time she tests you, and she will, she always does, not as a game, but as an instinctive signal check, hold your ground with a smile. Be warm, be open, and be completely immovable about what you actually think and want. That combination, warmth plus groundedness, is one of the most powerful things a man can project. Her subconscious will register it as masculine presence, and her body will respond accordingly. Level 4. Emotional unexpectedness. This level is the one almost no one talks about, and it might be the one that changes everything for you. Her nervous system is constantly predicting you. From the first date forward, she is, without consciously knowing it, building a model of who you are, what you'll say, how you'll respond, what you care about, how you handle things. And as long as that model stays accurate, you remain predictable. And predictability, brother, is the quiet killer of desire. This is not about being inconsistent or unreliable. Those are not the same thing. I'm talking about being emotionally surprising, having a depth to you that she keeps discovering, having passions, opinions, reactions that she didn't fully anticipate, being moved by something she didn't expect to move you, laughing at something she didn't expect you to laugh at, caring deeply about something she's never seen that side of you care about. The man who has layers, real, genuine layers that he doesn't hand over all at once, keeps her in a state of pleasant uncertainty. Her brain is engaged, her nervous system is activated. She feels like she is still in the process of discovering him. And that process, that feeling of ongoing discovery, that is one of the primary fuels of long-term attraction. So here is your direct assignment, brother. Before your next significant interaction with someone you care about, ask yourself honestly, has she seen all of me? Have I handed over every layer in the first few weeks in an attempt to connect as fast as possible? Because if you have, the fix is not to take anything back. The fix is to go deeper, to let her see dimensions she didn't know existed. Not because you're creating a mystery artificially, but because there really is more to you than you've been showing. Build something worth discovering, and she will never stop discovering it. Now, I promised you something at the beginning. I told you I was holding back the real one, the piece underneath all of this. The thing that ties every level together and explains not just why she pulls away, but what causes the death of attraction at its deepest root. Brother, here it is. The death of attraction does not come from too little affection. It does not come from bad communication or incompatible personalities or bad timing. The death of attraction comes from one thing and one thing only. The death of attraction comes from a man who stops being a source. Let me explain. When you first met her, you were a source of something she hadn't felt before. Excitement, ease, possibility. You made the air feel different when you walked in. That was not an illusion, that was real. But somewhere along the way, as you became more invested, more careful, more afraid to lose her, you stopped being a source. You became a seeker. You started drawing energy from her rather than bringing it to her. You started looking to her behavior to determine your mood, to her responses to determine your confidence, to her attention to determine your worth. And her nervous system felt that shift, not as a flaw, not as a failure, but as a signal that something had changed. The man who was a source had become a man who needed. And here is the sacred truth I want you to carry forward from this video. She cannot be attracted to a man who needs her validation to feel whole. Not because she is cruel, because her biology prevents it. Her subconscious is looking for a man whose sense of self does not hinge on her. A man who loves her, deeply, genuinely, fully, but does not need her to be okay. That distinction. That single distinction between loving and needing. That is the entire architecture of lasting attraction. The man who can look at her with warmth, with genuine care, with real desire, and simultaneously remain completely rooted in himself. That man triggers something in her nervous system that no technique, no line, no strategy ever could. It is not a performance of confidence, it is actual confidence. It is the signal, broadcast from his entire being, that says, I am whole. I choose you from that wholeness. And she feels that signal. She feels it in the quality of his eye contact. She feels it in the way he doesn't scramble to fill silence. She feels it in how he disagrees without apology. She feels it in the fact that her bad day doesn't destroy his. That signal, that particular frequency, produces what I can only describe as emotional surrender. Not surrender in the passive sense, in the most beautiful sense. The sense where she stops bracing, where her nervous system finally signals total safety combined with total desire, where she feels both seen and challenged, both held and free. That is what she has been waiting for, brother. That is what she was hoping you were the first time she looked at you. And here is the beautiful thing. You can become that man. Not by learning scripts, not by studying lines or running pickup routines. That world is a graveyard of men who learn to perform instead of transform. No, you become that man by doing the deep work of becoming genuinely rooted, genuinely purposeful, genuinely full of your own world. When she pulls away, it is almost never goodbye. It is almost always a test of whether the man she was attracted to is still in there, whether the source is still a source, whether the presence is still present. And the only answer that works is the truest one: returning to yourself. Not to punish her, not to create distance strategically, but because you are, at your core, a man with a life worth living. And that life does not pause when love gets complicated. So the next time things feel perfect, the next time everything is going well and you feel the urge to squeeze tighter, to close every gap, to ensure that nothing can possibly go wrong, stop. Take a breath. Step back into your own world with confidence and grace. Let the space breathe. Let her feel your presence through your purposeful absence. Trust that real attraction does not need to be held prisoner to survive. Trust yourself, brother. That is where all of this begins and ends. If this reached something real in you, if something in here clicked in a way that years of bad advice never could, then share this with a man who needs it. Not for my numbers, because there are too many men out there suffering through confusion that has a clear answer. Help them find it. Like the video, subscribe to this channel, and let's build a space where more men can access this kind of truth. Unfiltered, undiluted, no games. And if you want to understand the next layer, the one about what happens when she actually starts to chase, what that looks like, what you do when the dynamic flips completely, that one is coming. And it will change how you see everything we talked about today. I'll see you there.